This is the support presentation for the Year 9 Democracy and Dictatorship homework project. The objectives of this activity are to compare a modern day democracy and a modern day dictatorship, and then to assess how they are similar and how they are different. Normally your teacher will set you 6 weeks or 1/2 term to complete this particular project. The skill that's being assessed in this particular task is the cultural, ethnic and religious differences skills that we have in history. We know is the mark scheme from level 4 through to level 7. Now that should cover almost every student's target grade for their end of Key Stage 3 national curriculum levels. And as you look at those four different level descriptors, you'll see how the level of difficulty and complexity increases as you work through this project. A level 4 presentation will simply describe the differences between your chosen democracy and your chosen dictatorship. A level 5, you will start to compare how much there are differences between the democracy and the dictatorship. So you will start that process of analysing. Level 6, you will develop that analysis even further, and you will start to question why those two countries have such different forms of government. One way in which you can do this is to place those countries in their historical context. Why is it that one country may have always been a dictatorship and another always a democracy? What is it about those countries that have evolved that particular type of government? Level 7 will be the same as level 6, but you will analyse the amount of difference and the amount of change that has taken place over a much longer period of time. Students have been asked to identify the level that they are aiming to perform at. We want this to tie in with their end of Key Stage 3 target, so this piece of work could be a particular example of why they have achieved the level that they were set out to achieve at the start of Year 7. The first task is to choose a democracy and put together a fact file on that country. Below you've got 13 questions, prompting 13 pieces of research and information that the students should be collecting. Who runs the government? How did the government come to power? How big is the country? How maybe that has an impact on why it has a type of government. How many people live in that country? Do small countries have different forms of government to big countries? What is the life expectancy of people in that country? Do they have a high standard of living and live a long time, or are they poorer with a shorter life expectancy? What language do they speak? Are the people educated? Is there a connection between education and style of government? Do people have freedom of speech and the right to protest? How are women treated? Who controls the media? Who controls newspapers, radio and the internet? Number 11 is looking at the history of that country. Have they always been a democracy? Have they always been a dictatorship? Have they moved on their scale of democracy and dictatorship, rather like we studied in the first lesson when we put the flags on the particular wishing line? 12, find a picture of the country's flag, and 13, find a picture of their leader. Task 2 requires the students to complete the same activity but for the dictatorship, working through the same prompts so they can compare as they go. Finally, task 3 has the students concluding their comparison of the two countries. What are the differences and similarities between the two countries you've studied? And I would urge students to consider both. There are so many different types of democracies and dictatorships. There are so many overlaps. It's very easy to identify differences between countries, but I would like students really to investigate the similarities. Now, as is illustrated here, we have the plural for both. I want to see more than one difference, more than one similarity. Second point, why are they different? Why have the two countries evolved such different forms of government? And finally, can the history of the country help to explain those differences that exist between those countries? So as you can see, the research is only part of the earlier process of a level 4, a level 5 and a level 6. It's only when we get onto the conclusion and the analysis that we start developing the high level 5s, the level 6s and the 7. The better your conclusion, the deeper your analysis, the greater number of examples that you have compared, the higher the level that you can achieve. As for how students present this work, Students are encouraged to present in any way they might choose to do so. Students can look at presenting with a PowerPoint, or they could use alternative presentation tools like Prezi or Comic Life. It could be an audio recording, it could be a poster, it could be a book, it could be a stand up and speak presentation. We will consider any form of presentation that the students want to undertake.